Great stuff. Yeah, let's go live. Let's go live. Sorry to be late, guys. I was just starting to pack for the big trip that we've got this week. Streetworks UK conference tomorrow, Coventry Roadshow Wednesday, Doncaster Roadshow on Friday. No point going back down south, is there? I'm going to work out of the DFT office on Thursday, so it's 3 nights away for some of us this week. Think of me and Aaron eating fried chicken in Birmingham on Wednesday night when you've got a second. It's a tough life out there on the road. Now, more importantly, before we kick off, we've got a street manager non-compliance management webinar today. I'm Paul Chandler, the DFT's product owner for Street Manager. I'm very lucky to be joined by a guest star who will introduce in a second. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, guys, this is a Teams event. Sorry, this is a webinar, I do believe, rather than a Teams live event. And there is a subtle difference between how they work. The main one really being that we've worked out how to put these webinars onto YouTube. So we should be able to share this with people who miss it and have it up for posterity. I am slightly thrown by the presence of the Q&A, which isn't there when we do these webinars on my digital traffic order project. So I guess what I'm saying to you is, if this Q&A is usable by you guys, feel free to put questions into there. And we will look at those and I'll throw them in as we go through, or do them at the end, depends how they need to be done. Do feel free to upvote them if you can do that as well. So without further ado, I just want to say this concept of non-compliance management was something that I had in my head right from 2018 when we started Street Manager. And sorry if I've spoken to you about this before on, with the road shows we're doing. I talk about some of this stuff, but I think it's really important and sort of, something I'm passionate about to sell the benefits of. We talk a lot in Streetworks about refusing the inspection or responding to the inspection, or however people might speak, but that's not really right, is it? The inspection happened. That's a fact. That we're not refusing that. What we're really refusing or disputing is the concept of the defect itself. So I thought we need to move away from the inspections themselves and kind of obsessing over them, and switch to focusing on the non-compliances. When I was at Westminster, we had a report that I got made that tried to show how many non-compliances we had out on the network at the time. And all it was just the last 6 months, how many inspections have there been that haven't had a pass yet, and only count each inspection on each job a maximum of once. So it was a pretty raw report, and I've spoken to people that have tried similar things. But really, if you work for a utility or you work for a highway authority, and I say to you, how many defects have you got at the moment in your organisation or your highway authority? Different people have got different ways of doing it. Some people say, I don't have a clue. So what we're trying to do with this non-compliance functionality is, number one, give people a list of those non-compliances. Oh, we've got 78 in my authority today. The oldest one is 11 months old, and that's because we're waiting for. We're in dispute, we're waiting for the materials on the slow boat from China, or whatever it might be. And then we're trying to get into the statuses. What statuses are they at? How many are in dispute? How many agreed? Now, long-time viewers might know that this functionality took a long while to make it to today. And today, by the way, is the launch day for this in the production environment. Street Manager will go offline later for its update briefly. And when you come in tomorrow morning, you will find the non-compliance management software in production, but it is in sandbox right now. But where was I? Yes, this was a long time in the making, this functionality, and the performance-based inspection stuff kind of caused us to have to rework it a bit. So maybe we don't quite have all the statuses and disputes and stuff like that working quite how we wanted it to do. We had to alter it in the light of performance-based inspections. But we got feedback from the SMEs, from the governance group, and we introduced some improvements even before launching it, since we put it into the sandbox environment a while ago. So I think that's it by me in terms of introductions. Let's go over now to our special guest. I'm very delighted to welcome the man who got given the honour of having the non-compliance management functionality leading on it from a development point of view. Owen, say a big warm welcome to the gang. Who are you and where are you from?
Thank you very much, Paul. Hi, everyone. My name's Owen. I'm one of the senior engineers on the Street Manager project. I've been working there for about 5.5 years now. I know, Paul. long time. But yeah, it's a pleasure to be here, and I'll hopefully be able to take you through the non-compliance functionality that we're introducing.
No worries, Owen. Share your screen in the fullness of time when you're ready. And we've got 200 people on this webinar, and this is completely unprecedented. We've never had anyone, no software developer has ever been on any of these webinars before, so no pressure at all. But tell us about this non-compliance management functionality.
Yeah, first software developer, and hopefully not the last one.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Indeed. So yes, non-compliance is, I suppose, Paul's outlined the sort of high-level concept of just allowing our promoters and HAs to more easily manage their non-compliant sites that are discovered during inspections. So I suppose on the Street Manager website, once it goes live in production, if you're on Sandbox, you may have seen this already. But we'll have our non-compliances tile and of course the link in the top nav bar there for you to access, which will bring you to the list page. And I'm sure we'll jump back and forth between this. But there's a whole load of useful fields and information, the HA responses, promoter responses, and some of the details of the most recent linked inspection. So I think what we'll do just to start with is I'll go through some of the processes of how to create a non-compliance, how to link inspections and permits to it, and how to respond to them as well. So I'll go into this work which I created earlier. You'll see I'm logged in as a HA here, and I'm going to add an inspection. So if I add a reinstatement inspection category, it's not too important, but I'll go ahead, fill in some details here. So I'm going to say it's a failed inspection, say this is it, and it's non-compliant for whatever reason. Once I go through and fill in the rest of the details as normal, I'm leaving out some blanks just to speed it along here, but we'll see I've logged in inspection. So that was a failed reinstatement inspection. Now, if I go back to the works record for this work, you'll see the inspection is logged here as normal, but it also has its non-compliance reference beside it. And this new section in the works record, non-compliances, shows us all of those. So we'll go and have a look at this one that we've just created. So you can see it's issued. It has that inspection that we've just raised. Obviously, it doesn't have a response or anything against it yet. We can quickly see the most recent details. So that's that inspection we've just raised. If we were to create another inspection and link it to it, which I'll show in a moment, it would become the details that we see here would be that most recent inspection. And again, similar, the applications, so permit applications will show up here as well, and the promoter and the highway responses as well. So there's a fair few responses for both the HAs and the promoters, and they're generally organizing a joint site meeting. So you can use this to organize your joint site meeting, a date and a time, and then you can go onto the site, discuss whatever the details of the non-compliance are, and figure it out from there. So logged in as a HA here, I can say, let's have a joint site meeting tomorrow at 12 o'clock, some additional details. You might want to say it's outside the site or whatever. And you'll see joint site meeting is suggested. Now this joint site meeting details section is populated, so you can see it's been requested by the City of Westminster, which is for the account that I'm currently logged in as, and the suggested date and time, and it's awaiting confirmation. So the other side has to then agree to this. If whatever reason the HA wants to set a new time, they can suggest a different time. So I'll quickly log out here and flick back to the planner side. And go to my non-compliances list, and that should be at the top there. It is, so you can see City of Westminster, it has that, those joint site meeting details that I suggested. So I have a few options here. As the promoter, I could say that the joint site meeting isn't needed. We just accept the defect and we'll go on to site and rectify it. We can say, yes, that date and time suits us perfectly. We'll go out and agree with that, or we can suggest a new date and time if it doesn't suit us. So just for the sake of completeness, we'll say we will attend. And you can see at the top now, date and time agreed. So you can go out in that time and do your joint site meeting, come back and do whatever you need to do on Street Manager to reflect that. Again, still after that's agreed, you can still go and suggest a different joint site meeting time from either side, if for whatever reason it suddenly doesn't work for you. So that's sort of the headliners. There's some other things I'd like to show quickly, just in terms of raising another inspection. So I'm signed as a planner still, I'll sign out here and go back as HA officer. And I'll go back to the work reference, what it was after. So if I raise another inspection, I could raise another reinstatement inspection, or I could do non-compliance follow-up. So this is the one that we're going to go for, and we'll go for a follow-up completion. So if you register a follow-up completion that has passed against
Owen,
sorry, yes, go ahead,
some
Paul.
feedback coming from the chat is that this is moving a bit too fast for people to follow. I know that you're like all over it and you know the expert here, but let's just take a step back and say, right, okay, who am I? What am I doing here? What are we trying to achieve? So sorry, I've missed some of that because I was responding to comments in the chat, but we are booking in this joint site meeting, and then what happened after that?
I'll quickly fire back. So we've arranged our joint site meeting. The HA and the promoter will go out to the site and they can discuss the defect. And what would happen after that, I suppose, is there could be a new permit raised. In fact, I could go and show that, which is probably more pertinent to this. So yes, apologies for moving too fast. It's Northern Irish sensibilities to move a bit fast, I suppose. Apologies
it's all good.
So yes, arranged a joint site meeting. If the promoter accepts it, they'll then raise another permit to go and rectify that. So I'll sign in as a planner. And we'll go find our work again. we will your works record. Excuse me, that's the wrong work.
Owen, it's probably just worth me saying that when we're talking about non-compliances, basically what that is the kind of politically correct term for defect. That's all it is, really, guys. So the inspections working group, I think it was, kind of was trying to shift the world to using that term rather than defect. So yeah, just use that interchangeably and call it defect management amongst yourselves if you like, but kind of non-compliance is the term for defect, basically, guys.
Thank you, Paul. So yes, I'll raise another application here, and I'll blast through this again because the details are fairly inconsiderate apart from this part. So you'll get this new screen to link a permit to the non-compliance. So once you select yes, you'll get a list of any issued non-compliances that are currently against the work. So you can choose to link to any of them, but we'll link to this one that we were looking at. And again, you can go through the details. For this purpose isn't too important. So I'll just get through the rest of this.
Owen, while you're doing that, I think I know the answer to this question, but let's just check. You failed that job, and then you started creating the joint site meeting as the authority, yeah?
Yes.
Can the promoter do the same? As soon as you've created that failed inspection, does the promoter have the option of requesting the site meeting?
Yes. So once that non-compliance is raised and issued, both sides will have the option to suggest a joint site meeting. Your options will be slightly different depending on whether you were the one that originally suggested the joint site meeting or not, but they are functionally the same. You can accept whatever has been suggested already. You can go back and suggest a different time and go back and forth as many times as you need to agree a date and time for the joint site meeting.
And just before we go any further forward, Aaron, I don't know how you've got out of this job of running the Q&A, and it's fallen to me. Good work, good work. You might want to be able to mop up anything I might miss. Sorry, Owen, I hope that's got you some time to finish off that permit.
Yep. So we're just on the review screen here. Just wanted to show this extra little bit at the bottom here. So now we'll see if the permit has related to non-compliance. So yes, it will be linked, and the reference number of what it will be linked to. So I'll apply for that. And quickly head back to the works record and go to this non-compliance again. So you'll see now under the applications, we have this, which is in reference to this non-compliance. So you can have tracked any permits that are raised to rectify the defects raised in this. And again, so they can suggest joint site meeting and stuff like that as well. So I will, I suppose I'll pause there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it makes sense. There's some good questions coming in. Oh, there's a great question here. Will this only apply to new defects or also existing defects that are currently running? So I'll start to answer that, Owen, and then I might need to bring you in. So we'll turn that function on tonight, and then you'll log into production tomorrow, and you won't see a massive list of non-compliances. The list only starts to build up as you do the inspections. Owen, if I go and do a defect follow-up completion, say, and fail that, does that create a non-compliance?
Yes. So I believe any inspections created under the reinstatement category, or sorry, the reinstatement type and the non-compliance type will raise a non-compliance.
Yeah.
Obviously, any defects that were raised before that won't have the non-compliance, but if you were to raise another inspection that was failed, reinstatement type, it would create a non-compliance.
I'm not too sure where the distinction is between me playing the fool and actually being a fool here, but never mind. Can I, and you might just be like, no, you can't do that. Why are you asking that question? Can I, as a highway authority, go and link a... Is there any other way to create a non-compliance apart from doing an inspection?
Create a non-compliance, it has to be through creating a failed inspection of one of
Right,
those
yeah,
types.
okay. So the answer to the question from Joanne Hill there is basically once you've done your next inspection on all your defects, then you'll basically have your list of non-compliances. Yeah. So it will take a little while, but we'll soon get there, and then it's once it's done forever kind of thing. Right, okay. Here's a good one. If a highway authority requests the Paul Lucas is calling it a JSV for some reason, controversially. Joint site visit, I suppose that is. I'll allow it. Does the clock still stop from a PBI perspective?
Could you clarify that for me? Clock stop in terms of what?
You know, the 10 days before it deems.
Oh, the inspection auto acceptance, is that what we're
Yeah,
talking about?
yeah.
I believe so. There was definitely something in there around setting the auto acceptance date. Let me see if I can dig that out for you quickly.
Well, we can clarify that for people. It's also worth saying that this is Owen's first day back after a week in Rome, would you believe, of all places. So we are very much throwing him under the bus here, getting him to do this on his first day back. Here's a good one, gang. Would be really useful to have a flow chart with all possible outcomes, responses for both highway authorities and promoters for each scenario to help us get our heads around it. I'm just going to grab that question, Owen, and give it over to product manager extraordinaire Bart for when he, kind of his sort of business rules area. Can you think, Owen, of anything we've got internally that could sort of be a starter for 10 there?
Well, I've got the business rules up at this moment. So the 4.7 section, if you scroll down to the bottom, has a table.
Oh,
It might take a while to get your head around it, but it does have the valid responses for each of the different statuses for the HA and promoter side. So
no.
hopefully,
Now I see that. I remember all the times I've written that and read it before. Yeah, no, that's great. That's great.
so it is fairly comprehensive and quite long. So there's a few combinations we've covered there, but hopefully that should be helpful to people.
Now,
And
here's...
so just to answer your previous question about stopping the clock on PBI, I believe that is to do with the actual inspection that you raise. If the outcome status to that is set to joint site meeting needed, I believe that's what stops the clock.
Right, okay, okay. That's good. That's good. Now, here's Chief Poindexter Simon Wakefield with a boring legal question. Is there any legal requirement for a utility HA to use this functionality, or is this optional? So, yeah, no, this is just to help you, Simon. This is a workflow management tool, really. This is something that the governance group thought was, useful and important and good, and decided to prioritize. It's a great example of Street Manager kind of going above and beyond any previous system that we've had, rather than simply, like private streets or Section 58s, like, repeating and rebuilding functionality. So I think it's great, but yeah, if you guys have got ways of doing that and you're all over it, no, by all means, crack on, crack on. Right. Owen.
Yeah, I was just wanted to quickly show how you would actually go about resolving one of these non-compliances. So if I raise another inspection and go to the non-compliance follow-up and follow-up completion category and put in some details for that, and I give it the past outcome. Again, I'll get the option to link the inspection this time to a non-compliance, and similarly, it'll show you a list of any issued non-compliances that are available to link to. So we'll go for this one. Rest of the details as normal. Submit that inspection. And hopefully, if I go back to the works record, we'll see non-compliance status is resolved. HA response defaults then to works completed and passed. So we consider this defect resolved, closed, whatever you want to call it.
I'm drowning in these questions, Owen, just trying to pull all that together. So there's a lot of questions around the joint site meeting, joint site visit stuff. Stuff like what happens if a promoter doesn't respond to the joint site meeting request at all. And I guess the sort of answer to that is a little bit like what happens currently in the current world, you know. But in terms of just how this functionality works, Owen, is there anything to declare?
I don't think so. Obviously, if the promoter or HA or whatever doesn't respond, there's nothing that should stop the non-compliance to be able to be resolved, for example. So regardless of what the response status is here on the actual non-compliance, a HA can go and resolve non-compliance as I've just shown. Or they could withdraw it, for example, or whatever they need to do. So they shouldn't be held up by the promoter in any way.
I had a digital traffic orders webinar last week where there was one question with 40 people, a technical webinar. So I've forgotten how thorough the Streetworks people are with their questions. Aaron, let's make sure we take these cues and get some A's on them, and we can sort of get it out there, you know. Okay, let's have a crack at this question. We're in a world where we're assessing outstanding non-compliances on a monthly basis via reports similar to which you described at the start. Okay, good times, good times. Based on based on reinstatement inspections where there is no pass recorded. Yeah, okay. Going forward, how do you think it's best to assess what's outstanding? Will the list on non-compliance management match up? Yeah, basically, if you're doing inspections every, let's just say 2 months for the sake of argument, you know, if every non-compliance you've got gets an inspection within 2 months, then in 2 months' time you've got an accurate list of your non-compliances in Street Manager, and your report can just be phased out, you know. But it's really useful to have that report as you go into this new world, I think, because you can be like, oh, okay, there's those 3 that we don't have, that we're at a bit of an impasse on, or we're waiting for something, whatever it is. You'll know that those are the 3 that you've not done inspections on yet, and then you can just do inspections on maybe and tell the utility that's why you've done it, and that you know, you've now got your list of non-compliances in Street Manager and it's all accurate and, you know, lives in the system. So it sounds like a pretty good new world for me. Yeah, there's a question here from Amy, but it's sort of like on a similar theme to other people. This will only work if all parties follow the process. Having issues with third parties contacting the inspectors directly. And there's similar questions about, you know, what if someone doesn't respond to the joint site meeting request and all that kind of stuff. Do you know what, guys? We've really struggled with this through the development of PBIs, through the development of this functionality. you can't build functionality around assuming people aren't going to do anything or act in bad faith or ignore things. So we kind of have to build this assuming people act in good faith, and then it's more of a kind of policy operational kind of thing outside of Street Manager almost to make this stuff work. I mean, we can obviously tweak it, but you can't sort of we've really tripped ourselves, and Paul Lucas will know this, and any other SMEs on the call. When you start to say, well, how should we build it if we assume someone's not going to reply when they should, and you kind of end up in a really tricky area and going back and forth, and we need to build it in such a way that they'll be able to respond if the other side doesn't, and yeah, it's really tricky. Right, Owen, I'm going to be quiet for a bit and let you show more of the functionality.
Yeah, I was just gonna quickly show the list page again, so we kind of flew past that. But so yes, all your non-compliances will show on here, the number of inspections that are linked to them, whether it's resolved or not, and the HA and promoter response dates. And these are all filterable. So you have the standard fields that you'll be familiar with from the other screens, the other list screens. So you can search by the street name, the organization name, reference number, USRN, created date, and all these different statuses. They'll be totally familiar to you. Yes, so, and again, all these filters as normal will apply to an export if you were to go and do that. I will also show quickly what withdrawing that looks like. Sorry, I should stay on that page. So logged in the HA, I'll go to this. Sorry, not this resolved one. This one's issued. So a HA at any stage, they may go and do the joint site meeting and discuss with the promoter, and then decide that the defect is invalid or something like that for whatever reason. So they can withdraw the non-compliance from here and give a reason. And as it notes, it'll automatically withdraw any inspections related to the non-compliance. They will still be visible. Will be on the work record and still show as linked here. But with the inspections and this non-compliance will be noted as withdrawn. So if I just submit that, the non-compliance withdrawn, status of this is updated to withdrawn, and it won't show up there, but the inspection here you can see is also noted as withdrawn. So anything that's in relation to this will be noted as withdrawn.
Beautiful. Can we just go back to that list page? There was a comment that caught my eye. I'm like 10 minutes behind on these comments, by the way, but I could only ask so many at a time. But there was one that caught my eye around someone's pointing out that we've got all these filters, but it's not sortable, which seems like a fair point to me. So first things first, let's just turn on those filters again, Owen. And it's worth saying that we got feedback from the governance group and added in more filters to this list. So some of these, I think it's the most recent ones, are really recent additions. And then if you scroll down, Owen, you can see that we added those last 4 columns that you see. We added those following a conversation with the SMEs, following feedback from those guys. So hopefully that will assist people. But it does seem to me, Owen, and I don't know what you think, but created date and things like HA response date, promoter response date, but certainly created date, maybe even number of inspections, you can see why people might want to sort on those. Like, oh, show me the oldest one at the top, show me the newest one at the top, show me the one with the most inspections, show me the ones that the HA responded to hasn't responded to for the longest period, or stuff like that.
Yeah, 100%. So we kind of built this that they'll sort by created date, top to bottom by default.
Nice.
I think there's probably, I'm sure there are sort options that we could add in the future, but things like sorting lists and stuff like that tend to be some of the bigger performance hits of the service. So I'm going to bring up that boring word.
This
so
is why I
that's
don't normally invite you guys onto these webinars.
So those are the kind of considerations that we have to keep in mind. But yes, we do look at those things for upcoming functionality.
Ooh. Sorry, Owen, you were saying. Oh, there's a question here. Has the defect escalation process in the inspections code of practice been incorporated into the non-compliance management function? I think the answer to that is no, not in a, exactly as it's written down in the code of practice. We are aware of that. And I think that's the sort of stage 2 to this that you would do. We can kind of really emphasize the escalation bit and bring it into this once we've got it up and running, I think. Sorry, Owen.
No, I think I don't know if there's a whole pile else to show on that. I think I've kind of covered the main points.
Great. Well, there's plenty
I know
of questions.
Through the start, so if there's anything someone would like me to go over again, I'm happy to do so.
Well, there's a question here from Frank. Are we any closer to being able to add a follow-up inspection for SLG related issues? I can only refer you to the code of practice on that one, Frank. To me, the follow-up completion process is for reinstatement inspections. Hope my reading of the code of practice is current and accurate on that. Happy to be corrected. Historically, attempting this defaults the non-compliance tick boxes to reinstatement failures. Yeah, I think that's present and correct and working as it should. And I think that further inspections for SLG failures should be done under a routine inspection, I would suggest. But that's just me not having read the code of practice recently saying that. So feel free to get official, Hawk England comments on that. There's also questions in there, I can't find it right now, around investigatory inspections being included in this. We deliberately didn't include SLG inspections for this, certainly to kick us off anyway. It was something we discussed with the inspections working group. The investigatory inspections, I think we may need to look at that again and see what's involved in including them, because it seems like we had a ticket today asking about that, for instance, so that's definitely something that is a possibility. There's a question here, can we withdraw the defect but not the inspection itself? So I do believe, Owen, that was exactly what you showed us. So we've got this one here that's withdrawn. Can we delve into that withdrawn one? And let's just look at can we look at the inspection, the most recent inspection for that job? What is the status of that inspection? I'm breaking my rule here about never ask a question you don't know the answer to. I'm looking forward to finding out what happens here as well. So
that inspection, it happened to be the only one linked to this non-compliance, but any and all inspections linked to the non-compliance, if the non-compliance is withdrawn, they will all be withdrawn. Inspections can be withdrawn individually without withdrawing the non-compliance. But if I believe if all the inspections linked to a non-compliance are withdrawn, then the non-compliance will be withdrawn as well. So you can do them individually, the inspections, but withdrawing the non-compliance will withdraw everything.
It's flooding back to me now, the meetings from several months ago where we discussed all this stuff. And I think partly because of performance-based inspections, possibly we had to do it that way. So yeah, my kind of rhetoric around oh, the inspection still exists, but we're withdrawing the non-compliance. I think to make PBI's work, we have to withdraw the inspection itself as well. Does this mean our suppliers will have to include this functionality in their systems? No, they don't have to include it, I guess, but I suppose you'll soon feel a bit left out if everyone else is doing this stuff. There'll be some things that don't make sense that they will need to add, like the joint site meeting processes, because otherwise, if you can't respond to that, that's going to be a bit clunky. But don't forget, we meet with these guys every month. And we, have talked months ago about all this non-compliance functionality. Everyone's known about it. People have told us that they're busy building it as we speak and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not too worried about that side of it. I think it's all good. Right. Let's try and go back a bit. Oh man, there's the great and the good of Streetworks in this chat. I'll tell you, blimey, and Alan Haynes as well. Right, okay. Yeah, we've got a question around investigatory inspections. That's fair and good. Can you dispute a failure without requesting a joint site meeting?
You can. I'm going to say you would do that on the actual inspection rather than the non-compliance.
We saw this earlier, and we maybe focused on the JSM a bit more, but yeah, so do you need to be logged in as a promoter, maybe?
I do. So
I come in handy once in a while. Aaron, what we need to do is all these questions are fantastic, and we're answering quite a few of them. But let's try and take these questions, and then on the various train journeys that we've got over the next few days, we can try and write some stuff down and get rid of the duplicates. And this will be quite a useful sort of FAQ for non-compliance. Yeah, so there you go. You can see there that you've got the option of joint site meeting needed, accept it, or dispute it.
yeah, so as we mentioned earlier, this is how you would then stop that clock to or for PBI, and you can accept or dispute your inspections as required. And then if the HA wants to withdraw the inspection, if the promoter successfully disputes, it will withdraw that non-compliance automatically as well.
Beautiful. Where does the status show that the non-compliance is resolved, by the way?
The status it'll show in the list page. Non-compliance status resolved. It's
beautiful
up here at the top of the non-compliance, and it should be there in the works record. Should show that's resolved.
There was a question just popped up from Rebecca that was easy to answer, so I will answer that. Can we confirm that this goes live tomorrow? So yeah, so if you go into Sandbox now, you'll find all this, and it's actually been in Sandbox for a little while. The first time we've ever done that, actually put something in Sandbox in advance. So tonight, as it happens, almost like we planned this webinar, is the 2 weekly update for Street Manager, and switching on this functionality in live is going to be part of that. So yeah, essentially, unless you're working late tonight, and sorry to hear that, when you log into Street Manager tomorrow, you will find this functionality that Owen is demonstrating right now. So someone says, so this isn't mandatory and you don't need a utility to accept or dispute a JSM because the HA can do it for you. Yes, I guess so. But you're going to run into some problems there, I guess, with you're going to have highway authorities saying, oh, everyone else can do this, why can't you? Or you can do it, go into Street Manager to do it, or whatever it might be. So yeah, I guess, Natasha, when I was saying it wasn't mandatory, what I was talking about was more the kind of workflow management and list page and the filters and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think the stuff around how the joint site meeting work is pretty important and is going to be fairly required, I would suggest. But like I say, all the big API developers from highway authorities or promoters have been in the loop on this, and it's all part of the API documentation. And so hopefully a lot of people should be working on this. Where do we access that list of different scenarios and outcomes? I think that was the business rules. So yeah, Aaron, maybe you could paste into the Q&A or wherever people have got the visibility of the link to the GitHub and the business rules. That would be really good. I saw a bit on the response section, Owen, works completed. Does this resolve it for us until the HA go and inspect? Some HAs are only inspecting remedial works months after the work.
So can a HA go and select that work's completed and passed?
Well,
that is
I think the point is that the utility does some remedial works, right? So kind of what Angela's saying is that from their point of view, once they've completed those remedial works, they regard it as done, basically. So talk me through it. Like, I'm a utility, I go and do remedial works, put a work stop in. Does anything change at that point on the list page?
No, there won't be any change to the non-compliance. It'll have to be any subsequent inspections raised to go out and look at that defect would be linked back to the non-compliance, and then, as I showed, use that non-compliance follow-up completion type and category to actually register it as resolved from the HA side. The promoter doesn't need to do anything to update the non-compliance to say that this is done or whatever.
Yeah, I'm with you. So I can see how that's like a frustration for promoters, like, oh, come on, just go out and do the inspection and we can close this one off. Hopefully.
Let me just make sure. Do they mean this work's completed, ready for inspection status? I mean, I've got mixed up there.
Yes.
Okay, sorry, apologies.
No, it's all right.
A promoter, once they go and resolve that defect, they can set this response here, and that's just to let the HA know that it's ready to be looked at again, and then they can go and do their inspections and stuff like that.
So I suppose in the future, to make this even slicker, we could make it so that when you put in the work stop on your remedial works, we automatically update to that status.
You could do.
Yeah. But at the moment, you put it to works completed, ready for re-inspection, and then you can kind of forget about it as a utility until you see the pass come in from the HA. Yeah. Or God forbid a fail and some sort of confusion over whether the work was accurately done or not. Right. Okay. I'm gonna try reading this one, Owen. Let's see how we go. If a failed inspection is disputed and a joint site inspection takes place and the defect is agreed, when recording the joint site meeting inspection, if we link it to a current non-compliance, will it update the original failed inspection from disputed to accepted? Whew.
I don't think that we go back to update the inspection as part of any of this.
No.
I think that would have to be something done manually. There's no automatic updates there.
Will the non-compliances show individually or overwrite the previous in the report? Cycle 2 inspection replaces cycle 1. So yeah. So the non-compliances, it's Can we go back to that list, Owen, please?
Yep.
So yeah, you can see here, Hannah, that as we do more inspections, and whether a cycle's got 3 inspections in it, or 1 or 3 and then 1, or whatever it is, we only have got that's the beauty of it, really. You've got that non-compliance reference. So this is non-compliance 1, and then whether we do 10 inspections or whatever. So we're talking about the same thing all the time, you know. Right. I think I did that one. Okay, right. Whew, goodness me. Right, John's with me here. Sorry, I'm lost. In simple terms, what is the difference between withdrawing an inspection and withdrawing a non-compliance in the new world? What scenario would you use these 2 different withdrawals? Okay, so withdrawing a non-compliance withdraws all the inspections. So, you know, if you've got 8 failures, and then you've agreed that, oh, we've been defecting the, you know, the wrong job or whatever, God forbid, you go in and you withdraw the non-compliance, and it withdraws all 8 in a row. And in a previous life, I once sat there and had to go through like 12 inspections and change them all and resend them over Eaton and stuff. So that seems welcome to me. Then I suppose if you've made a mistake on one individual inspection or something, whatever the scenario might be, you can still go in and withdraw that individual inspection just like you can at the moment, you know. Hopefully that helps. Are there any timescales added to SM for non-compliance actions by promoter and HA? Can you answer that question, Owen, just in terms of non-compliance management functionality? I think the answer is no.
Yeah, there's nothing time limited in any responses or any interactions with non-compliances.
Will the accept dispute promoter response on inspections function be removed? That's an interesting question, isn't it? I think that we would want to get this up and running and get people used to it, and then see if, I think it will soon become apparent, Martin, if it's like causing confusion or an overlap we don't need, or you do have to be careful, Owen, when you're removing stuff, because sometimes you can remove stuff and someone's API gets messed up. You know, hey, we use that all the time in this particular area, and yeah, but we can look at that, Owen.
Yeah, believe so.
For those highway authorities that don't use Street Manager UI, will this process be affected by third-party systems not linking non-compliances properly? Currently, some highway authorities raising core inspections as reinstatement inspections, as there's no option for core inspection. Well, hopefully, Chris, everyone will build to the right spec, and then we won't end up in that scenario. Let's hope we don't end up there, I would say. You know, everyone seems confident about what they're doing, so fingers crossed. Isn't the follow-up inspection to inspect the live site, and any fail will be for SLG? Yeah, I know what we're saying there, but what I'm saying is, when you're following up a live site inspection, that should be under a routine, and I hate saying this because I was trying to avoid using these terms on this webinar because they're not Street Manager terms or official Streetworks terms or anything, but the D1, D2, D3 process should just be for reinstatement defects, not SLGs, by my understanding. Presumably this list can be exported into CSV or Excel. There's some comments to that already. Yes. Can you just scroll down, Owen?
Certainly can.
Export description like every other list page. Right. Okay. Will this prevent utilities raising brand new permits to rectify defects? Well, Oh, Owen, by all means, please.
Well, I was going to say I don't think so.
No, no.
The permits can just be linked to this to indicate that it's to rectify a defect, is how I understand it.
No. What, under a brand new permit reference? 001?
But or not a brand new work or a brand new permit.
You've stepped into this one, Owen, not knowing the minefield into which you've walked. I don't think it will prevent it, Nicola, but hope because you could still end up with just some sad orphan non-compliances sitting around that new permits have been raised to fix. But hopefully it will encourage people to do it under the same thing. When the works are completed by the utility company, will the authority get a notification or still need to be filtered? Well, we don't really have the concept of notifications at the moment in Street Manager. So yeah, you'll be able to filter and go in. And what was the filter that we saw, Owen? Not that it matters too much, but there was, awaiting inspection or whatever it was. Works completed, ready for inspection. So yeah, you'll be able to see those. Presumably, you've got some sort of process in place at the moment for checking for remedial works. So this is kind of making that even easier. And then on the roadmap for the future, we've got the notifications and work lists piece of work. Okay, let's have a look. Is worth changing the menu options on works, as the only option to start a non-compliance at the moment seems to be with an inspection. Any thoughts on that at all, Owen?
Well, that is on our API. That is how you raise a non-compliance. It's via creating a failed inspection, and it does it automatically. So there's no concept of creating a non-compliance in isolation.
Yeah, I think once we've got into the swing of things, we'll be fine with that. Crumbs. Well, it's 3 o'clock. You've been a great audience. Sadly, not really. We've not had a chance to get to Simon Wakefield's question. What a tragedy. But we will go through these questions. We will get answers to you guys. Thank you so much. We can do another webinar on this topic in a few weeks and see how it's bedded in, maybe. Any closing words, Owen?
Nothing particularly from me.
No, don't say that. Say just thanks for having me. Enjoy using the functionality, guys. Like, end it on a big positive note,
There we go. Yes, it's a pleasure as always to be here. And hopefully it's not the last time you see me. Maybe it is, depending on how well it went. But yes, thanks for having me, and I hope this all works for you.
That's the spirit. Cheers, gang. Take care of yourselves and see you in the near future next week for the reporting webinar.